Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about one of the Socrates' most famous ideas. The unexamined life is not worth living. At first, this sentence may sound a little bit confusing, but it has a very important meaning that still applies to our lives today. Socrates believed that people should not live their lives without thinking about their own choices, actions, and beliefs instead of simply accepting what other people say or following habits without asking why we do that. He encouraged people to question their ideas and reflect on their lives. According to Socrates, this is what it will help us to become a better person. Socrates believed wisdom begins when we admit that we don't know everything. Rather than pretending to have all the answers for all questions, he asked questions to help people think more deeply. And this method is asking questions is known as the Socratic method. Instead of telling people what to believe, he encouraged them to discover the answers by thinking carefully, and taking their time to examine their own ideas and thoughts about those questions. This self-reflection is important because it helps us to understand ourselves. It allows us to recognize our strengths, to improve, maybe to know our weaknesses and make better decisions for the future. If we never stop to think about our actions, we may continue making the same mistakes over and over without learning from them. So, for example, imagine a student who fails an exam. And an examined response will be to say the test was unfair and never think about it again. But an example of an examined response will be by asking questions like, did I study enough for the test? Did I manage my time well? Can I do something differently for the next exam? By reflecting on these experiences, the student has the opportunity to improve instead of repeating the same mistake over and over. So, asking them those questions will help to improve their knowledge and have a more deeply meaning of those answers. Another example is friendship. Sometimes we may disagree with a friend and immediately believe that we are right. However, if we stop for a moment and examine the situation, we might realize that we misunderstood them or that we could have communicated better. Self-examination also helps us to become more understandable, respectful, and an open-minded person. I think that this idea is very meaningful because many people today are influenced by social media, by social media trends, by photos, by videos, by people's opinion, and it is easy to believe sometimes just because everyone else believes it. Socrates remind us that we should think for ourselves. We should ask ourselves questions and make decisions based on reasons instead of simply following the crowd. Personally, I try to practice self reflection on my own life. As a college student, I often think about my goals, my study habits, and the choices that I made. When something doesn't go as planned as I thought it would, I ask myself, what can I learn from this experience instead of giving up? This helped me a lot to grow up, not just only as a student, but also as a person. Um, so, in conclusion, when Socrates said that the unexpected life is not worth living, he meant that a meaningful life requires reflection, questioning, and learning. And by examining our lives and beliefs and actions, we become a wiser person, we make better decisions, and we continue growing throughout our lives. And even though Socrates lived more than 2000 years ago, this message is still relevant today, and because it encourage us to become thoughtful, responsible, and lifelong learners. So we won't stop making questions and asking um, possible people about different things. We should keep having conversations with people so we can learn more from them and become a person and become the person that we want to be on the future. Thank you.